Patch 12.10 is right around the corner for Escape from Tarkov. Battlestate Games just wrapped up their podcast where they were talking about that. And in this video, we're going to dive into some of the biggest features and talk about some of the things that Nikita mentioned on the podcast that are beyond 12.10, like some of the things around streets and a lot of other stuff coming. I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. But with all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the video. All right, so a few disclaimers. As always with everything, all this stuff is subject to change, right? Because Nikita tries to give that balance of giving us information, but stuff happens. So some of this is subject to change, especially stuff outside of the 12.10 patch, some of the stuff that they were talking about in the future. But I figure what we'll do is I'll link the patch notes down below. I'll really quickly go through the biggest things coming in 12.10. So that if you just here for that, you can see those. And then we'll talk about some of the stuff that's not going to be in the patch notes so that this video can be a good resource for you if you want more information. And then we'll go back and dive into more of some of the nitty-gritty stuff in the patch notes. So 12.10 is coming early next week. That's what they said. So hopefully within the next 5 to 7 days, depending on if it even gets pushed back. So that is super exciting. So some of the biggest stuff they've added is a few new gear stuff, like the slick plate carrier in a few different colors, some tactical rigs, pretty standard stuff. They like to add gear as often as they can. New healing stuff like an IFAK with more HP and a new tourniquet. What everybody's really excited about is we've got some new guns and some new ammo. So a new armor-piercing round for 7.62x39, a new armor-piercing round for 5.56, and an additional 5.56 round. We're getting 2 new weapons, the STM-9, which is an AR-style semi-automatic 9mm weapon that uses Glock mags. So this is going to be semi-auto. You're going to be able to mod this out, low recoil. I'm super excited to use it. I love 9mm. I love 7.31, and I think this just looks really fun from what they were showing. And then the PL-15 pistol as well is the secondary gun that we're getting. A few new gun parts and stuff like that. A new melee weapon that's got some pretty insane damage. He kind of alluded to that these things will be mostly found in raid only. We'll see how that kind of works out. A lot of bug fixes and changes. One of the biggest things coming to 12.10 is the return of Steam audio. This is super, super exciting. So I personally really liked Steam audio. I think it made the audio a lot better and localizing our audio a lot better. So Steam audio is coming back in 12.10. He talked a little bit more about audio that we'll get to in a second. Some optimizations, some changes, some fixes. One of the big ones is rain will now be 30% quieter, and some AI stuff and optimizations that we'll get into. So basically the TLDR of this patch is we're getting Steam audio back, we're getting a few new weapons, and some miscellaneous fixes and optimizations that I'll get into later, but if you want to read the patch notes, they're down below. Now they talked about a lot of other stuff, a lot about 12.11. So 12.10 is a pretty small patch with just some minimal things. 12.11 is going to be shaping up to be a pretty large patch. So 12.11, they want to do a lot. The factory expansion is confirmed for 12.11. 12.11 will also introduce the first iteration of like gun jams and malfunctions, stuff like that. The SCAR H and the SCAR L were both confirmed for 12.11, confirmed that the plan is 12.11. If something happens and they have to push that back, then we might have to wait a little bit. But the SCAR H and the SCAR L are hopefully going to be coming in the 12.11 patch. Like we said, factory expansion and the factory boss. There was a quick little modeling video where you see that the factory boss is going to have a sledgehammer. Who knows what that's going to be like or how that's going to pan out. But he also said that within the next few weeks of the date of this podcast, he wants to do a kind of like a preview of the factory expansion. Maybe that's a trailer. Maybe that's just screenshots. We don't know, but be looking out for that. That'll be soon. He also said that one of the things they want to add in 12.11 is the first iteration of the scav karma. A lot of people have been wanting this for a really long time to incentivize scavs to work together as opposed to just murdering everything and trying to get as much loot as you can risk-free. He touched on it a little bit, that Fence will be the trader that manages all this. We'll actually be able to gain reputation with Fence now. You will get new options, new bonuses. Fence is actually going to have loyalty levels, and the way you increase that loyalty with him is by protecting bosses, protecting scavs, extracting through certain extracts, like the one with the PMC, extracting without, killing other scavs, fighting, any hostile scavs that come, like player scavs that are killing everybody, eliminating them. So that stuff is going to increase your loyalty with Fence, and that will provide new tiers of stuff you can get from him. And even like the loadout that you start with as your scav could be better with higher karma. So that's pretty exciting. He touched a little bit on PMC karma with factions and stuff like that, and just that is still in a phase of basically, conceptualizing that, and we're not sure what that's going to be. 12.11, they're also going to do a rework of the sights and scopes. A lot of them can be a little buggy, which is why a lot of times you only end up seeing a few magnified optics like the Valde and the Voodoo, and a few red dots like the PK06 and some of the hollows, because some of the other stuff can get pretty buggy, so they're going to be reworking that, hopefully. They're trying to move to Unity 2019. Unity 2019 is going to help with a ton of things, including a lot of network things, and they're hoping to do that somewhere between 12.10 and 12.11. I thought 12.10 was when they were going to do that, but I think they're going to try to move to Unity 2019 sometime in between, or maybe in 12.11. So 12.11 has got a lot of stuff coming, and then even beyond that, he touched on a bunch of different, just small slices of the game. So Steam Audio is coming soon, and they said that hopefully there's also going to be an additional just sound overhaul patch. So one of the confusing things about Steam Audio is people think it's a whole new audio engine, but it's really post-processing. So Tarkov's audio engine remains the same, but how Steam Audio then takes the sound that Tarkov's audio engine gives it and processes it to make it sound either better or give better localization. So hopefully they're going to be implementing, he talked about a much bigger change to their sound engine and how sound works, which will hopefully help with things like vertical audio and stairway audio and stuff like that. So more audio fixes coming even beyond just Steam Audio. They talked about a bunch of the events that they have coming up, like Twitch Rivals coming back this year, the Evasion tournaments and the Pestily Punisher tournament. Some of those may have drops or something like that, so just kind of be on the lookout. He spoke a little bit about Lighthouse, and they want Lighthouse between Factory expansion and Streets of Tarkov. And speaking of Streets of Tarkov and Patch Point 13, the goal is still to have Patch Point 13 at the end of this year. So what they're hoping is that Patch Point 13, Streets of Tarkov can happen at the end of this year. Factory expansion is happening in 12.11, which would be maybe a month or two after 12.10. And then somewhere in between that, we get Lighthouse. Now, to go back to Streets, he talked a little bit about Streets again, it being the most ambitious map they've ever created, and potentially in video game history is what he was alluding to. They showed a bunch of screenshots. I mean, there's not a whole lot to be said for Streets. Streets is the way they're pitching it, and the vision is going to be amazing. It's just, can they do it? Can they do it in time? And can they do it stable? He talked about, somebody asked about when Tarkov's going to go 1.0, and their hope is that if they can get to point 13, because a lot of the last few linchpins that are really required to get this snowball rolling quickly are in point 13. If they can get point 13 out at the end of this year, that they're hoping to then be able to give some sort of soft date for when we would potentially go 1.0. We'll see about that. I don't hold out a whole lot of hope that we'll get point 13 in Streets at the end this year, but hopefully things continue to advance really well. He addressed specifically that barter changes will not be announced in advance. So like the Tetris, everybody's been up in arms about that. He wants it to feel unstable and unpredictable. Somebody asked about the economy changes, and I personally think that there's a lot of language barrier there. I would love for somebody to be able to just sit down and have a conversation with him about the economy, especially be able to talk to him as opposed to just him reading a question out of Twitch chat or on his phone. I think that there's a lot more to be said here, but he talked about that he wants the economy in Tarkov to feel human and unpredictable, with traders maybe unavailable for specific days, or their stock could vary. There could be global events which make a shortage in this thing. I think those things are cool. I don't know if they address the questions that people want answered right now, but I think that that's mostly because we need somebody to just really sit down and have a conversation of back and forth where they can dive into some of this stuff. But they talked about that a little bit. He touched on the arena and the fact that there might be a option for you to actually go into the arena with the gear you have from your stash and then lose it if you die. So I'm not sure if that means you'll be able to like purchase loadouts and then it doesn't matter, or you can bring your own gear in. We'll see. VoIP is 100% confirmed for this year. I'm assuming that's going to be the end of this year, close to the 0.13 patch. And Unity 2019 is going to bring some huge network updates. He's talked again, and he has plenty in the past, that the networking is some of the stuff that they spend the most time working on. And so hopefully with Unity 2019 and a lot of the development tools that are in there, they'll be able to bring the networking up to the next level, which is super exciting. So now we can take a look through some of the patch notes and kind of dive into some more of the stuff. Like we said, they're adding some new gear, nothing crazy here, new backpacks, some really weird looking backpacks, new rigs, stuff like that. New voice lines for some of the bosses. The scavs are going to react a lot more to what's happening around them, which is exciting. Some new clothing, a new IFAK with 400 durability, so similar to like a Salua, but it's a 1x1. A new hemostatic tourniquet, which will, he said, uses really, really quickly. Some new barter items, some new sorting mechanics. They're messing with the thermal imaging. Loot is no longer highlighted on thermals, and the system will allow for further dynamic temperature changes. That to me reads that there will eventually be a stim in the game that lowers your body temperature to counter thermals. That's just me. That's my hot take. That's what I think that means. Rain is 30% quieter. They're reducing the strength and endurance bonuses, which I personally think that's good. That makes sense. Hideout management levels quicker if solar is built. That also kind of makes sense to me. Simplifying some of the other skills as well. A lot of various fixes here. Take your time to go through these if there's any bug that you've been experiencing a lot. A lot of stuff like bots not spawning in off factory offline. That's stuff I've heard about quite a bit. The AI changes. This is the sleeper. This is the stuff I'm almost most excited about in 12.10. All right, so these are all really important. Bots on the move now shoot less accurately, which makes sense. If we shoot less accurately when we're strafing back and forth, bots should as well. Change the parameters of the effect of the bushes and visibility. Now scavs will see worse through bushes. Thank Nikita. Slow down the reaction time of bots when detecting players. I've always hated that you could be 200 yards away from something, scav, and if you ADS on him and he's facing the other way, he'll just turn around and drop shot you. Change the parameters of player tracking. Bots will now follow the point less. I think that means that they'll try and track you a little bit better and not just run to the last place they heard you. I could have that mixed up though. Maximum enemy detection radius of bots have been reduced. Bots do not fire while changing position to prone. Bosses could spawn without guards before that's fixed. The behavior bosses do not attack an enemy in offline mode. They're bringing sniper scavs back. Thank Nikita. And some other bugs. So this is going to be huge. I've always said that scavs would be in a really good place in Tarkov if they couldn't see you through bushes, know when you ADS on them and shoot with an insane amount of accuracy while they're actually moving. I think with this, and then maybe potentially them even increasing the amount of scavs a tiny bit, this could put scavs in a much better place. This is super exciting. And then these sniper scavs are fixed, which is huge. Some optimizations, changes to the shader system, eliminating some of the freezes and micro stutters. This is good. Optimizations of memory. And then MIP streaming. I don't know what this means, but it's a new option in the settings menu all the way down at the bottom right. And he said that definitely use this. It optimizes the consumption of VRAM and the video memory and a bunch of other stuff that actually helps. He said definitely improve performance. In the podcast, he said he would highly recommend turning this on in 12.10 when that becomes available. So I'm going to leave the patch notes down below. Definitely comb over them. Drop a comment down below with what you're most excited for in this patch. But I'm super excited that we're getting some progress here, and it really looks like this year is shaping up to be a really big year for Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you like this video, think about dropping a like, commenting below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord community is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'll definitely see y'all on the next one.